The third and second millennia before our era mark the Bronze Age, a time when human civilization rapidly advanced both technologically and geographically. Bronze tools and weapons spread across continents, fueling the rise of great empires in Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China. People began organizing complex societies with writing, trade networks, and monumental architecture. However, as humans expanded their reach, the impact on the natural world intensified. This era also saw the continuation of a massive wave of extinctions, especially among large animals, as hunting, habitat changes, and agriculture disrupted ecosystems. The story of humanity's progress is deeply intertwined with the loss of Earth's megafauna during the Holocene epoch. Around 6 million years ago, tectonic activity closed the connection between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, causing the Mediterranean to almost completely dry out. Then, about 5.3 million years ago, the Strait of Gibraltar reopened and the sea rapidly refilled, possibly in just 2 years. This sudden transformation stranded species that had crossed the dry basin, isolating them on newly formed islands. One of the most remarkable of these was Balearic cave goat, a dwarf goat-like mammal found on Majorca, which evolved uniquely over millions of years. Roughly the size of a large rabbit, it had forward-facing eyes like a primate, a short snout with ever-growing lower teeth, and stiff, stocky limbs that made it unable to run or jump. Its brain and senses were reduced, and most unusually, it had a reptile-like metabolism. Growth lines in its bones suggest it grew slowly, sometimes stopping altogether, reaching maturity only after about 12 years. This extremely slow growth and reproduction helped it survive harsh conditions with little food. Myotagus was common and was present when humans arrived around 5,000 years ago. To those early visitors, this sluggish, cold-blooded, goat-like creature with an eerie face must have seemed truly bizarre. The Bennu heron was a large heron from what is now the Arabian Peninsula, known only from a single partial leg bone. Discovered in 1979 and dated to around 2,500 before our era, it lived during the al-Nar period. It may have been larger than the Goliath heron, though some suggest it could simply be a very large gray heron. Despite its Arabian origin, it has been linked to the Egyptian Bennu deity, possibly serving as its inspiration due to its impressive size. Its extinction may have resulted from wetland degradation or overhunting by humans. Due to limited fossil evidence, its exact classification and historical significance remain uncertain. The steppe bison consisted of 3 chronologically successive subspecies that lived across Eurasia and later migrated into North America via the Bering Land Bridge. Adult males were massive, often exceeding 2 meters in height and 1,000 kilograms in weight, and closely resembled modern bison in shape, with distinguishing features such as their large, outward curving horn cores. The size of these horn cores declined over time, reflecting a decrease in body size from ancestors. Mummified remains like the Yukagir bison show that they had dense coats with dark manes and shorter body hair than modern bison. They were mixed feeders, living in herds and hunted by predators. Both Neanderthals and modern humans hunted them, and Paleolithic people frequently depicted them in cave art and carvings. The species gradually went extinct during the mid-Holocene, likely due to a combination of climate change and human pressures. Niue night heron was a now extinct species once native to the island of Niue in Polynesia. It was slightly larger than the modern night heron, with more robust bones suggesting it may have been less adept at flight, possibly spending more time on the ground. Like many island birds, it likely had few natural predators and evolved in isolation with reduced wariness. Its extinction was likely driven by human arrival, habitat disruption, and the introduction of invasive species which would have preyed on its eggs. The Hispaniola monkey was an extinct species of primate that once lived on the island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean. Belonging to a unique group of New World monkeys, it likely had a slow, arboreal lifestyle, adapted to forested environments with limited predators. Its robust limbs and dentition suggest it may have fed on a mix of fruits and tough vegetation. The species likely vanished following human colonization of the island as deforestation and the arrival of introduced animals disrupted its fragile ecosystem. Lesser Haitian ground sloth was a small, extinct ground sloth that lived on the Caribbean islands of Cuba and Hispaniola. It had a broad body, long tail, and strong limbs, with skeletal features suggesting it could stand upright using its tail, possibly in a semi-arboreal lifestyle. Its powerful jaws and distinctive teeth indicate it was well adapted for chewing tough vegetation. Likely hunted by early indigenous peoples for food and hides, it disappeared around 4,000 years ago. Cuba, the largest island in the Caribbean, has a complex geological past, originating as part of a volcanic island arc during the late Cretaceous. Over millions of years, it became home to a diverse range of mammals. Sloths of this island belong to the megalonychid lineage, which reached Cuba by the early Miocene. One notable species, the Cuban giant sloth, was among the largest Cuban sloths, reaching the size of a modern black bear. Despite speculation that it may have survived into the time of European colonization, no remains have been dated more recently than 4,000 years ago. Its extinction likely followed human arrival on the island, suggesting a link to hunting or habitat disturbance. The Chatham raven was a large species of crow endemic to the Chatham Islands, east of New Zealand. It was among the biggest known members of the Corvus genus, with a robust build and strong beak. Its exact placement within crow taxonomy remains debated, though it was clearly part of the South Pacific radiation of crows. It likely played a vital ecological role as an omnivorous forager, feeding on a variety of plant and animal matter. Its extinction, which occurred after human settlement of the islands, was likely due to a combination of habitat destruction, introduced predators, and direct hunting. Like many island birds, its isolation and lack of natural defenses made it especially vulnerable to rapid environmental changes brought by humans. The New Caledonian terrestrial crocodile was a small crocodilian once native to New Caledonia and one of the last surviving members of the ancient Mekosuchine lineage. These crocodiles originated in Australia around 50 million years ago and eventually spread to various South Pacific islands. This species measured about 2 meters long and was adapted for life on land, with specialized crushing teeth for feeding on hard-shelled prey like snails and crabs. Remarkably, its limb structure suggests it may have been able to climb trees, a once dismissed idea now supported by observations of modern crocs. As with many island species, its extinction is closely tied to human arrival around 1500 before our era. Archaeological evidence shows it was hunted and eaten by early settlers. Sumba Island giant rat was a rat species native to the Sumba Island in Indonesia, belonging to a now extinct lineage of murid rodents. It was significantly larger than modern rats, with a robust body and strong gnawing teeth, likely adapted for a diet of hard fruits and seeds. This rat evolved in isolation, filling a unique ecological niche in the island's ecosystem. Its extinction is believed to have followed human colonization of Sumba, with habitat destruction, hunting, and the introduction of invasive species. Noel's barn owl was a species of barn owl that once inhabited the Caribbean, particularly Cuba and possibly other nearby islands. Much larger than modern barn owls, it likely hunted a variety of small to medium-sized animals. As a top nocturnal predator, it played a crucial role in the island ecosystem. Its extinction likely coincided with the arrival of humans who altered habitats and contributed to the disappearance of its prey, ultimately leading to the owl's decline. The Indian aurochs was the Indian subspecies of the aurochs, the wild ancestor of domestic cattle, and one of the largest bovines of the late Quaternary. It had a massive, muscular build, long legs, and large forward-curving horns, adapted for open grassland environments across the Indian subcontinent. As part of the species Bos primigenius, it shared a common ancestry with European and North African aurochs, but evolved regionally distinct traits. It played a key role in the domestication of zebu cattle, which began in the Indus Valley around 9,000 years ago. Over time, pressure from hunting, habitat change, and genetic swamping through interbreeding with domestic cattle led to its extinction. Its genetic legacy now lives on in modern South Asian livestock. The woolly mammoth was one of the most iconic mammals of the Ice Age, instantly recognizable by its long, curved tusks and thick, shaggy coat adapted to the harsh cold of the Pleistocene steppe tundra. Closely related to the Asian elephant, it belonged to a genus of extinct elephants that first appeared in Africa before spreading into northern hemisphere. Adult males stood around 3.5 meters tall at the shoulder and could weigh up to 6 tons, with females being slightly smaller. Their bodies were adapted for cold climates with a layer of insulating fat, small ears to conserve heat, and a double-layered coat of dense underfur and coarse guard hairs that could grow over a meter long. Woolly mammoths were herbivores, feeding mainly on grasses, sedges, and shrubs, and they played a keystone role in maintaining the open steppe ecosystems by trampling vegetation and dispersing seeds. They lived in social matriarchal herds, much like today's elephants, and their long tusks were used for foraging beneath snow, defense, and possibly even social interaction. Although mammoths began to decline at the end of the last ice age, it is often overlooked that their extinction was not sudden. Most populations disappeared around 10,000 years ago, but isolated groups survived for thousands of years afterward. A small population of woolly mammoths persisted on Wrangel Island off the coast of Siberia until as recently as 4,000 years ago, nearly 1,000 years after the construction of the Egyptian pyramids. Genetic studies of these late surviving mammoths reveal signs of severe inbreeding and mutation accumulation, suggesting that their small population size and genetic isolation contributed to their final extinction. Climate warming and habitat loss reduced suitable environments for mammoths, while overhunting by humans added further pressure. Short-horned water buffalo was a small species of wild water buffalo that once roamed parts of Pleistocene China. It stood only about 1.2 meters at the shoulder, with distinctive backward curving horns and a compact, stocky build adapted to forested environments. Likely a browser or mixed feeder, it inhabited woodland habitats and may have been relatively solitary compared to its modern relatives. Its extinction is thought to have resulted from a combination of habitat changes during glacial cycles and increased hunting pressure from expanding human populations. Puerto Rican ground sloth was a small ground sloth that lived on the island of Puerto Rico during the late Quaternary. Belonging to the megalochnid family, it was part of a unique Caribbean radiation of sloths, characterized by relatively small body size and, likely, semi-arboreal habits. Its extinction is believed to have occurred shortly after the arrival of the first human settlers in the Caribbean around 5,000 years ago due to hunting and habitat disruption as usual. The Christensen's pandemelon was a small marsupial closely related to wallabies that once lived on the island of Ifate in Vanuatu. Likely resembling modern pademelons, it would have been a compact, herbivorous animal adapted to forested environments and feeding on vegetation. Subfossil remains suggest it survived until the early Holocene, possibly overlapping with the arrival of humans in the region. Its extinction was likely driven by a combination of hunting and the introduction of invasive predators or competitors which disrupted the fragile island ecosystem. Ovidoff's horse was a robust equid species, slightly larger than the Asiatic wild ass, and distinguishable by its sturdy limb bones. Isotopic evidence indicates it preferred C4 plants, suggesting it lived in open grassland environments. It is considered the last known representative of the subgenus Sisimionis, which originated in North America over 2 million years ago and later spread across Afro-Eurasia. Genetic studies show that it was more distantly related to modern horses, though gene flow occurred between their lineages. The species survived until around 1500 years before our era in Central Asia, making it one of the last surviving non-caballine wild equids. An extinct species of Haliitis once inhabited the Hawaiian Islands and is known only from subfossil remains. It was likely a large, powerful raptor, similar in form to modern sea eagles, with robust talons and a strong beak, suited for hunting birds and scavenging along coastlines. Its presence on Hawaii suggests it evolved in isolation after a distant colonization event, becoming a top predator in the island's unique ecosystem. The species likely went extinct following human arrival. New Caledonia has remained isolated since splitting from Australia 66 million years ago, preserving many living fossil species like the kagu and the primitive plant ambarella. Among its most remarkable inhabitants was the giant megapode, a large flightless bird about 75 centimeters. Initially thought to be a retete, it is now known to be related to galliform birds. It had a massive skull with a bony crest, reduced wings, stout legs, and a unique skeletal structure resembling that of non-avian dinosaurs. It was likely a slow-moving herbivore that fed on plants, roots, and tubers, using both its beak and feet. Thousands of subfossil remains have been found, mostly juveniles, suggesting a reproductive strategy focused on producing many offspring. But it had a surprisingly short lifespan of 5 to 7 years. Human settlement around 3,500 years ago brought hunting and invasive mammals, like dogs and rats, contributing to the bird's decline. Folklore of the Kanak people mentions a large flightless bird with a bony crest, hinting that Sylviornis may have survived alongside humans for a time before ultimately becoming extinct. Puerto Rican flower bat was a large species of bat native to the Caribbean, characterized by its robust body and specialized nose structure adapted for echolocation in dense forest environments. This bat played a vital role in pollination and seed dispersal, contributing to the health of its island ecosystems. Its extinction is believed to be linked to habitat destruction and human disturbances, especially the loss of cave roosting sites and introduced predators. Leeward Island's curlytail was a species of curly-tailed lizard also native to the Caribbean, notable for its robust body and distinctive curled tail used for balance and communication. As a ground-dwelling reptile, it played an important role in controlling insect populations and contributing to the island ecosystem's balance. Its extinction is believed to have resulted primarily from habitat loss due to human activities and the introduction of invasive predators such as rats and mongooses. Greater Azores bullfinch was an extinct species of bullfinch that once inhabited the Azores Islands, characterized by its stout body and thick bill adapted for cracking seeds. This bird played a crucial role in seed dispersal and maintaining the island's plant diversity. Its extinction is thought to have been caused by habitat destruction, introduced predators, and possibly competition with invasive bird species brought by humans. The European wild ass was a prehistoric equid resembling a small horse with a sturdy build and adapted for open habitats. It inhabited parts of Europe and Western Asia during the late Pleistocene and early Holocene. This species likely grazed on grasses and shrubs, playing an important role in shaping its ecosystem. Fossil evidence suggests that it was hunted by early humans, contributing to its decline. Its extinction around 3,500 years ago is attributed to a combination of climate change and increased human pressures. The disappearance of this species reflects the complex interactions between environmental shifts and human activity during the Holocene. Dune shearwater was a medium-sized bird species once native to the Canary Islands. It likely had a similar appearance and lifestyle to modern puffinus species, nesting in burrows and feeding on fish and squid at sea. The species is thought to have gone extinct around 3,000 to 2,000 years ago, shortly after the arrival of humans to the islands. Its extinction was likely driven by hunting and the introduction of invasive predators such as rats and cats, which preyed on its eggs and chicks. Mona Island tortoise was a species of land tortoise endemic to Mona Island, located between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. It was part of the larger Chelonoidus genus, which includes various giant tortoises once widespread across the Caribbean. Subfossil remains suggest it had a domed shell and robust limbs, typical of other island tortoises, and likely fed on local vegetation. Its extinction reflects a broader pattern of human-driven biodiversity loss in insular ecosystems. The Alor island giant rat was a rodent species known only from Timor in Southeast Asia. It belonged to the murid family and is known from subfossil remains that suggest it was part of a unique and now vanished island rodent fauna. Its extinction was probably driven by human arrival, habitat alteration, and the introduction of invasive species like cats and brown rats, which are known to have devastated many native island rodents. Hooger's giant rat was also a murid species native to the island of Flores in Indonesia. As a terrestrial herbivore or omnivore, it likely played a key role in the island's ecosystem, possibly feeding on roots, fruits, and small invertebrates. Its extinction is thought to be linked to human arrival on Flores, combined with habitat disruption and predation or competition from introduced species. Fossil evidence suggests it may have coexisted with early hominins like Homo floresiensis. The Vanuatu terrestrial crocodile was another small extinct crocodilian species native to the island of Ifate in Vanuatu. Slightly smaller than its New Caledonian relative Mecosuchus inexpectatus, it likely measured around 1.5 meters in length. Like other members of the genus, it was highly terrestrial, with limb proportions suggesting it was well adapted for life on land rather than in water. Its teeth were specialized for crushing, indicating a diet that probably included hard-shelled invertebrates like snails and crabs. Fossils have been recovered from archaeological sites, showing it coexisted with early human settlers. It is believed that it went extinct shortly after humans arrived on Ifate, likely due to direct hunting. This extinction reflects the broader vulnerability of island endemic reptiles to human impact during the Holocene. Verhoeven's giant tree rat was another giant rat species once native to the Indonesian island of Flores. It was significantly larger than most modern rats, estimated to weigh around 1 to 2 kilograms, with robust limbs and strong gnawing teeth adapted for an herbivorous diet. Its extinction is thought to have been caused by habitat disturbance and predation following human colonization of Flores, possibly compounded by competition with introduced rodents. Linne's megapode was another large megapode bird from Vanuatu, closely related to chickens. It stood about 60 centimeters tall and likely shared similar behaviors with living megapodes, such as using mounded vegetation to incubate its eggs. Unlike its smaller modern relatives, Moala was flightless or nearly so, making it especially vulnerable to predators. Its extinction appears to have occurred shortly after the arrival of humans on Vanuatu around 3,000 years ago, likely due to hunting and the introduction of invasive species like rats and pigs.